Hey guys, welcome back. Today we're going to be working on a walkway around our chicken coop. This section was kind of a mess to have to weed whack and keep clean. We had a few step stones and the weeds always grew up in between, so this is going to fix that. My wife already removed those large stepping stones and dug down about 3 to 4 inches into the soil and leveled it out, then placed this plastic over top and laid out the new stones where she wants them to go in the walkway. Next, I'll start moving all of those rocks over to the side, trying to keep the same pattern that she had placed these down. I'll just set them off to the side and then start pouring some dry concrete down across the ground, leveling this out. For this, we're going to be using a dry pour technique, which I basically never use. I always mix my concrete for larger slabs and things like that. But for this, I'm basically just using it to level out the stones and give a solid base for those stones to be on. And I figured that this would be a good time to test the dry pour, see how it works. I know some people love it, some people hate it. Let me know what you guys think down in the comments. Alright, so I am going to be putting some wire mesh in here as well, just to strengthen it up, because one of my worries about this is it cracking and the stones and rocks shifting and messing up our surface. So with this wire mesh, hopefully this will hold everything really well together. But the problem was you can't really get this to go down into the concrete, so what you want to do is pour a thin layer down across the ground first, level it out, place your wire mesh down, and then come back with another bag of concrete and pour that over top, covering up completely that wire mesh. You don't want any of that showing. Once that's done and I've leveled out the concrete over top of the wire mesh, we can start putting those stones that we have off to the side back on top. And what we're going to do, instead of just pushing hard down onto the rock trying to get it to go in, I found that that just compacts the concrete powder underneath and doesn't allow the rock to sink at all and level out. Instead, you want to just wiggle it back and forth, twisting it, and that will allow the rock to slowly settle down into the concrete and level it out so it doesn't wobble or rock around at all. Alright, now we're going to speed through this a little bit. We basically need to repeat those same steps all the way down through this walkway. And of course, I laid this out the way I thought it was, and she came back and fixed it. Looks a lot better after she readjusted it. Looks a little bit more random instead of everything lined up, she said. Once we have all of the rocks placed where we want them, we're just going to go around and make sure we level all of them and make sure they're settled down into the concrete below by wiggling them and making sure they don't rock around at all. And then we'll move on to the next step, which I'm going to take some mortar, which is concrete without all the aggregate rocks and stones inside. It's just a smooth powder, and I'm going to pour that over top of this walkway. And basically what I'm trying to do is cover up a lot of the gravel that's showing underneath in the concrete, and also fill in all the gaps in between those stones and help it level out a bit better. So I'll just take my hand and push the mortar around, trying to fill in all the gaps and level out those stones that are there. Then I'll take a broom and try to clean off the tops of the stones as much as I can, and then it's ready to start watering and getting that concrete to start setting up. This walkway is on a bit of a hill, and so what we're going to be careful of is not over watering this, because that mortar that we put over top will just wash out really easily. So we're going to come through and lightly water it several times, letting it absorb all of that water in between each one. I'm also going to come through and try to spray off just the stones, not in between. I'm trying to just clean off those stepping stones so we don't have concrete over top of those. So after we initially water it a few times lightly and we feel like it's been saturated pretty good, we're going to let it sit 10 to 15 minutes and then come back and water it again. And every 15 or so minutes for an hour, we're going to come out here and water it and let it absorb all of that moisture. Once this starts setting up, you can really soak it and not have to worry about it. But while it's still soft and still powdery, you don't want to overwater it and wash it out. Now basically, like any other concrete slab, you don't want to walk on it, put any pressure on it. You got to be careful because it's not hardened all the way until probably about 4 to 5 days to a week. And so we waited about a week and came back with some pea gravel, and we're going to be filling in all of the gaps in between the step stones. We intentionally left the stones sticking up out of the concrete a little bit so that we would have a cavity in between each of those step stones that we can fill in this pea gravel and cover up all the concrete. We don't want any of the concrete showing. We want it to look like a nice gravel stepstone walkway. After spreading out the pea gravel, we're going to move on to gluing this down. If we don't glue down the pea gravel, it will just get scattered everywhere. Every time you walk on it, it would just get kicked around. And so we're going to glue this down with this ground grip glue. This is perfect for mulch and gravel, stones. It's supposed to lock everything together. This is the first time I've used this product, so we'll let you know how this goes. But I'd recommend just following the directions on the back of the container. It's got some clear directions for different applications, and for this we're going to be putting it in our sprayer and spraying down just the gravel in between those step stones. And if we get some on the step stones, it dries clear. You won't even see it after it's dried, so we're not worrying about that too much. We're going to start off with one very thin coat over top, and this will help lock everything into place. Once that is completely hardened, we're going to come back and do a second and a third coat, and that second and third coat is going to be a lot thicker, heavier, and it's supposed to soak down into the layers a bit more. And so we're going to come back once it's dried, do a second coat. Once that has dried, we'll come back and do a third coat. Now this is the finished walkway. The glue has completely hardened, and I'm actually really shocked with this. Now I don't know how well this is going to hold up over time, but this feels really solid. Nothing really moves around. There's a few pebbles here and there that are still loose, that they were either on top of the step stones or just weren't close enough to any of the other pebbles to get glued down. But one thing I'm going to be interested in seeing is how long this is going to take to deteriorate and start falling apart. We can always reapply that glue once it starts loosening up a bit, but I'll probably do an update once that starts happening and let you guys know how this glue works. Alright guys, that finishes up the video for today. Hope you enjoyed this one. If you did, hit that like button down below and let me know what you thought of this video down in the comments. Thanks so much for watching guys. I'll see you in the next one.